Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, July 1st, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today, July 1st, is a pretty calm day as far as Marian feasts go. First, the Abbot Orsini reminds us that the Church of Jumièges was dedicated in honor of Mary. This took place in Normandy, France, in 1067, right? Further sources tell us that this was done by Maurice, the Archbishop of Rouen, at the insistence of King William. Okay? So the Abbey Church, as we said, was dedicated in 1067. However, present sources tell us that now it is just ruins. In Gdansk, in Poland, they celebrate the Blessed Mother of Victory in St. Nicholas Church. This is Matka Boska Zwyska, or something like that. This icon, which I guess is now housed in Poland, was originally crowned in Lviv in Ukraine in 1751. And last but not least, we head down to Spain, to the Basque country, where they celebrate La Virgen de la Guía, be like Our Lady of the Guide or the Guidance, in Portugalete, Biscay, right? So originally this was a mariner's celebration, so like the seafarer's celebration. And the celebration begins in the first hours of the day with an opening volley, so they shoot off their guns. And then the traditional sally of the Dominiguins, which are two big rag dolls that hang from a rope tied to balcony railings on either side of the street. At the same time, the faithful present a floral offering to the Virgin, whose image is at one end of the street in a niche on the facade of Market Square. From then on, drumming, fanfares, accordions, and masks enliven the street. Then, at exactly midnight, La Virgen de la Guida, like Our Lady, it says here, the Virgin Guide, which is a pretty literal translation, and her retinue process from the top of the steep street, following the band to the sound of a march. And we're told that this final movement concludes again with a volley. So, that is what we are celebrating today in the Marian world on July 1st. For today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we begin with Meditation 85, entitled The Heart of Mary. And this first point, which is so long we're going to split it into two parts, is entitled A Wellspring of Actual Graces. Let us go deeper into this subject until we are persuaded that we must profess devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus through the Immaculate Heart of Mary. You remember the promises that the Sacred Heart of Jesus has made in favor of his devotees? They must be arranged in three groups. First, actual graces. Second, sanctifying grace. Third, final grace, namely, that of reaching the possession of God in heaven. All souls, even the holiest ones, stand in need of those divine helps, which are called actual graces, since indeed without them no meritorious act can be done. No supernatural act can be performed. These actual graces are a loving present proffered by the divine bounty. Man does not deserve them, but God gives them abundantly and generously. The source whence they spring is the Sacred Heart of Jesus, who in this manner shows us the love he has for us. But the channel through which they flow into our heart is always the Blessed Lady, in whose most pure heart all those graces are stored like waters in a reservoir. Hence they will flow to us. Do you now see where you will find those graces? Do not go to the throne of justice, because nothing is due to you out of justice. Go to the throne of bounty and mercy, of the very heart of God. But where is that throne? Where is it to be found? Nowhere else save in the most pure heart of Mary, our beloved Mother. It then depends on you. You have the final word in seeking out of that wellspring, in the approaching of this reservoir, to draw from it those graces which you need, and which God is most desirous to grant. In fact, he does on 1,000 occasions grant them to you, even at times before you ask for them. For today's reading from the Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we continue with chapter 5 in his commentary on the Magnificat. And here we're considering, he hath regarded the humility of his handmaid. There are two kinds of humility, says Saint Bernard. The first is the daughter of truth. It is cold and without warmth. The second is the daughter of charity, and it inflames us. The first consists of knowledge, and the second of love. Through the first, we realize that we are nothing, and we learn this humility from ourselves and from our own wretchedness and weakness. Through the second, we trample underfoot the glory of the world, and this humility we learn from him who annihilated himself and fled when they sought out to offer him the glory of royalty. But when they hunted him down to crucify him and plunge him into the depths of opprobrium and ignominy, instead of fleeing, he voluntarily offered himself. The Blessed Virgin possessed in a sovereign degree these two kinds of humility, especially the second. And St. Augustine, St. Bernard, St. Albert the Great, St. Bonaventure, St. Thomas, and several other writers all maintain that the words which the Holy Spirit uttered through the mouth of this most humble Virgin, respexit humilitatem, mean true humility. If you ask why God regarded the humility of the most glorious Virgin rather than her shining purity or other virtues, seeing that she possessed them all in the highest degree, Albert the Great will reply, together with St. Augustine, that God preferred to look down upon her humility because it was more pleasing to him than her purity. Virginity is highly praiseworthy, says Saint Bernard, but humility is necessary. The former is counseled, the latter is commanded. You can be saved without virginity, but there is no salvation without humility. Without humility, I dare say that the virginity of Mary would not have been at all pleasing to God. If Mary had not been humble, the Holy Spirit would not have descended upon her. And if he had not descended upon her, she would not have become the Mother of God. She pleased God with her virginity, but she conceived the Son of God through her humility. Hence it must be inferred that it was her humility which rendered her virginity pleasing to the divine majesty.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.